Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 9 of IS 688. I hope you all had a good spring break. This week we will start Module 6 on recommendation systems. This is part 1 of a 3-week module. As usual for announcements, first off regarding your Medium posts. So for assignment 1, all but 3 of the most recent stories have been graded. So if you were not if you didn't just recently submit your assignment 1 post to Medium and you haven't received a grade, reach out to me. For assignment 2, I know I mentioned 2 weeks ago that these would be done by now. I apologize for the delays here. So far, we have 19 stories that have been posted. The grader and I have been going back and forth and have fully agreed on reviews for 7 of them, and there are 12 more under review. Hopefully, by the time these are done, the grader and I will have gotten into a groove to churn these out much faster. For assignment 3, so far 12 stories have been posted. And then, as I mentioned, all stories for assignment 2 or all posts for assignment 2 should be graded by the end of this week now. The reviewer or the grader is going back and reviewing some of the comments that I've made on his reviews, and any updates should be complete by the end of the week. Also, your assignment 4, so this covers module 5 on clustering, is due next week. That's on March 31st. Moving on from your medium assignments is the semester project. Note all the comments about your proposal revisions have been submitted if you've submitted any revisions. So you should have all the feedback you need from your project proposal and your data collection report and any updates from the revisions. This week is your intermediate report, so that was due yesterday. Make sure that is in as soon as possible, because we will use this report to solicit feedback from your fellow students. So not just giving my reviews on what I think about your work or what my concerns are. Your fellow students will have the opportunity to review your work as well. So timelines: the semester project assignment 3, the report, due this week. In 2 weeks, there will be the intermediate report reviews due from your fellow students. So it's on April 7th. The way this will work is we have a rubric that you get to fill out, that every student will fill out. Every project will get 5 to 6 reviews from your fellow students. And in these reviews, your fellow students should be asking these 6 questions. What did they see as the main contribution of your project? And your description of related work. What have other people have done in this area? Does that seem sufficient, or is it a good foundation for your work? What are the key strengths and weaknesses of the report or of the project you're doing? And how do you see these insights being used by people in the real world? And then finally, letter grade assessment. So every project should get 5 to 6 of these to give you some good insight into your project. And then you'll also get a review following these same rubrics from me as well. Every student will get 2 reviews that they need to complete, and I'll give you these via email. And then the rubric you can pull from the assignment on Canvas. Basically, just fill this out. You can either fill it out as a PDF or as a Word document and submit it back through Canvas. Crucially, though, all of this is going to be double-blind. I'll talk about that in a second, but that means when I send you a PDF, you'll get a PDF with this hashed group number. You want to put that group number here in the reviewed group ID. I'll use that to match this review back to the original group. So as I mentioned, this is going to be a blind review. So what this means is your fellow students will not know which group's project they're reviewing, and you will not know which students reviewed your project. Only I will know the mapping between student reviews and projects, or which students reviewed what projects. So that means please do not put your name or any sort of identifying material on your review rubric or on your intermediate report. All right, so that wraps things up for assignments and semester project. For this week, as I mentioned, we're starting off week 1 of module 6 on recommendation systems. So this is part one of a 3-part module. In this week, we will be talking about recommendation systems on the web, so I need you, or I want you to be able to identify at least 3 examples of this. Fortunately, recommendation systems are super common on the modern internet, so you'll have lots of opportunities for that. Then we'll talk about 2 different ways we do recommendation, both through content-based recommendations and collaborative filtering. Then we'll talk about methods for characterizing items' content in week 1 when we talk about content-based recommendation, and then ways to aggregate users' preferences. So the idea is we want to be able to connect items and characterizations of items to characterizations of users and what kind of items they like based on user histories. As before, as in all the modules, I have a Module 6 discussion forum where you can ask questions about the idea of collaborative filtering, content-based recommendation, how recommendation systems work in general, any other topic we come up with, or the Module 6 assignment, which will be released next week. All right, for next week, in terms of reading, so Chapter 9 is the primary chapter for this module. For this week, you should have read 9.1 and 9.2 to get a sense of what recommendation systems are and get some initial insight into content-based recommendations, and that's what we'll talk about. Next week, you need to read section 9.3, and then the week after that will be 9.4. Those will be the only 4 sections you need to read from Chapter 9. Also for next week, remember your intermediate report is due now, so get that in. And then next week, your assignment 4 is due. So this is Module 5, on the Module 5 assignment on clustering. Let me know if you have any questions about that, because it's due March 31st. And then, as is normally the case, if you have any questions about either the project, you can post the project questions to the project forum, and you can post questions about the Module 6 discussion, and you can reach out to me via email if you have any further questions.